Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's talk about composite data types in this lecture. The first thing we need to talk about is an immutable and a mutable data type. Simply put, a mutable data type is something that we can change once we create it as a variable. An immutable data type is one that we cannot change once we create the variable using that data type. We'll talk about this more whenever we get to the specific data types, but we just need to remember mutable means changeable and immutable means that we cannot change it. But for now, let's talk about the composite data types that we have available to us. We can create a list, a tuple, a dictionary, a Frozenset, and also a set. Let's go through the structure on each of these. We'll start out with a list, so we'll create a variable and say our list. We'll set this equal, and now a list is denoted using square brackets. So we'll use 2 square brackets, and everything that we put in between these square brackets belongs to the list. So let's say that we want to pass in A, and then put a comma, B, and then C. What each of these composite data types do is allow us to put multiple values to one variable. Each one of these just allows us to do it in a different way. For a list, we're able to pass in multiple values, and we're able to keep the ordering of the values in the list. So the first value will always be A, and the second value will always be B. A list is also able to store multiple data types. So if we were to put another comma and put 1.5, drop down and say print our list, save our file again, and then we'll execute this script. So Python 3 and then example.py. And we see that our list is returned in square brackets of multiple different data types. We have strings here because we know the delimiter means a string, and we also have a float number because we have a decimal place here. A tuple is almost the same thing as a list except that it's immutable. We'll talk about that later on in our list video, but for right now we'll just look at how we create them. So we'll say our tuple equals, and then instead of square brackets here, we'll use parentheses. Now we can do the same thing as we did before. So we'll say A, B, and then also C. We'll drop down and print our tuple, execute it through the terminal. We see that we get the same thing, except it has parentheses instead of the square brackets. Now let's talk about a dictionary. So we'll say our dictionary, and then we'll set this equal to curly brackets this time. And instead of just having one single value in a dictionary is composed of a value and a key. So these pairs are what make up a dictionary. We denote these by using the key first, a colon, and then the value. So let's say our key is key 1 as a string, and then our value will be value 1. Now a dictionary is powerful because we can pass in multiple pairs into the dictionary for storage. So we can say key 2, colon, and value 2. We'll print this out, so our dictionary, and we'll see what the return looks like. The dictionary is returned the same way that we type it. Dictionaries are useful whenever we have multiple properties about something. So let's say we change the key to name, and then we'll use my name, so we'll pass in Derek, and then we can change the second key to another property about me. So let's say key 2 will be equal to height, and then we can say 6 foot. Now let's go ahead and talk about a set. So we'll do this one first. We'll drop down and say our set. And then sets are created using curly brackets as well. But instead of key value pairs, it's just single elements. So we'll say 1, the second one 2, and then the third one 3. We'll go down and print our set. And when we print, we see that we have a set here. But what's the difference in using a set and using a list? Well, a set is unordered. That means it doesn't keep the order here. So we see that 2 is in the first position instead of in the second position, like how we put it here. And then it also has to be unique. If we were to include a repeat, so let's put 2 again and save this, we should only be returned one string 2 in our set. Here we see that's exactly what we get. These are useful for doing unions or intersections or something of that nature. Now for our last one, let's say our Frozenset. And a Frozenset is just like a set in the same way that a tuple is just like a list. A Frozenset is just an immutable version of a set. We can use Frozenset and then pass in the set value that we have. We'll drop down and say print our Frozenset, and it should look very similar to our set. We see that it does, except that it has the parentheses around it, denoting it as a Frozenset. We'll look at what we can do with mutable and immutable objects in the upcoming lectures. For now, we just need to know that there's a variety of different composite data types that we can use in our Python scripts. I'll see you in the next video.